Fox is launching a new, sexy and powerful family drama series centered on the running of a modern-day music empire. Join film critic and radio host Elvis Mitchell as he sits down with show co-creators Lee Daniels and Danny Strong, film and television producer Brian Grazer, showrunner and executive producer Eileen Chaikin, Oscar-nominated actors Taraji P. Henson and Terrence Howard, while they peel back the layers on creating a series about the power structure and glamorous life of hip-hop. Welcome to Inside Empire.
Your brother and I have been working hard to turn Empire into a publicly traded company. Now, part of us going public means ensuring a legacy for this company, and right now, it seems none of you are prepared to take over after I'm gone.
What is this, we King Lear now?
Call it what you want, smart ass. But over the next several months, I will make a decision.
What are you saying? We're all in competition to be the future head of the company?
In order for it to survive, I need one of you Negroes to man up and lead it. And nothing or no one is going to tear it down. Hear me?
When I saw the pilot, the first thing I thought was, so one of the sons mentions Lear, but I thought The Godfather. You really felt like that. You have the three sons, you have the power struggle, and I was just thinking about that line that inspired Mario Puzo from Balzac, behind every great fortune is a great crime. There's all that in there, isn't it?
The Godfather was clearly a part of our early development. We talked about The Godfather, we talked about King Lear, there was a few other pieces we talked about, but when we went around town and pitched this show, that's what we said. We said King Lear and Godfather. It was just a huge part of Lucius's character, that this would be our Vito Corleone, and that Jamal Lyon would very much have a Michael Corleone type arc to him.
But Terrence, what is so fun for you is that, watching you, is that you play a lot of silences in this, and that's kind of interesting to see a TV show where somebody doesn't have to talk to explain himself all the time.
Well, Lucius and the idea of The Godfather, I figured, I took Longshanks from Braveheart, because Longshanks, there was a viciousness, but a simplicity about him, and he didn't speak a lot, but when he did speak, you had to really tune in to know what frequency he was talking about. And taking Longshanks and then trying to max him up with King Lear and then pull a little Suge Knight into it, that's a nice little crazy mix of individuals that I wasn't sure what would happen, but the story speaks for itself.
What's so fascinating to me about this show is it's about so many of the contradictions in Black culture. The idea of glamour but crime, the idea of love but not acceptance, the idea of family being torn apart but finding a way to hold itself together, about gender roles that are so key. All these things that barely get dealt with in fiction these days, let alone on television. It makes this thing incredibly exciting to me.
Because it's true. Life is contradictions.
But what I love about it is that it's not just a Black experience. It really is not. You can go in the house of any well-to-do family and there's dysfunction.
For sure.
Money and greed will destroy anyone.
For sure.
And
but
so
you know
it's
what I'm saying?
not.
But as Black actors, though, getting a chance to play this, all these contradictions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a brilliant analysis of it. I hadn't really thought of it. I don't know if any of us thought of it, all those touch points. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
All the counterpoint that lives inside of it.
But all those counterpoints, because there's so much, I hate to use the word like this, reductionist ideas about the way Black people occupy roles in popular culture. And this show is trying to sort of break a lot of those kinds of stereotypes down.
I get a little nervous sometimes that we're going to get some heat, There's some people that we throw out there, and but it's what we hear on the streets.
It's real.
Yeah.
You can't run from it. And that's how I pick roles. If it doesn't scare the hell out of me, I don't want to do it.
The idea of bringing something that big to TV, and I don't know if this kind of melodrama has been on TV in a very long time.
Dynasty, Dallas, that's
30 years ago.
That's what we really wanted, and I even down to the music.
And I thought it was the perfect way to do this story because it's about a family. So as soon as he said, let's do it as a TV show instead of a movie, I thought, A, you're exactly right, and we both just started talking about Dynasty in Dallas. And how we could do this as this soap opera in this very wealthy family in the music business, and with original songs. So it would be a pseudo-musical in a way without it feeling like a musical.
Just hadn't been any African-American television that I respected that was out, or hadn't been for a long time. And I thought, what a way to come and give you a provocative sort of look at a family. a family that I can relate to, that I know, and the hip-hop world.
I think there's a difference in this show, though, which is those shows were confections. It was pure fantasy. And the big moves in this show still come from a place of authenticity.
It's really real. I feel like I'm getting a slice of family in the music industry that I've never seen before. All the characters are so richly written. It's just hard. You don't see that on television.
Go in there and tell your mama I love her. And don't come back here crying.
Where's your father?
He's not coming to see you today.
Yeah, okay. How you doing at school, little man?
My friends are picking on me. Besides to my lunch, I'm afraid to tell Dad. He'll tell me to fight.
Listen to me. You different. It's only something Mama knows, but it's gonna make life hard for you sometimes. But I want you to always remember, I got you. Come here. I got you. Okay?
Coming up next on Inside Empire.
These characters are real. This is real life. Set in a very glamorous world, but yet completely trying to be true to that world.
You forgot about me the second you divorced me in there. But you still owe me what's mine. It was my $400,000 that started this. You know it and I know it. Did 17 hard years for that money. And I want half my company back.
I'm sorry, Cookie, but it don't work like that.
What was it that made you want to do this, Brian? I mean, because you have between Boomerang, which creates a really glamorous black world, which you basically still don't see in movies.
Right.
And that's over 20 years ago now, Boomerang.
And, but you also did the Denzel movie, which
I produced American Gangster,
which was another sort of.
So
and
American Gangster is basically kind of like the birth of hip hop in its way. That culture comes from that.
Yes, definitely. And they both have power structures in them, particularly American Gangster. And I love movies that involve power structures, which of course, back to The Godfather does that for sure. And this television series has that. Absolutely has a power structure, and Terrence is the man on top of that power structure.
Hold on, this is a TV show?
Actually, our show, almost is operatic, and it's on the most visceral level. It's just like a gasping at sort of the soap opera dimension of it. It keeps you completely like, oh my God, did that really just happen?
And if you imagine, we've all heard the stories about in order to make it big, you got to ultimately sell a piece of your soul, or maybe your family's soul as well. I mean, Lucius has accomplished a great deal. Cookie made tremendous sacrifices for them to get where they are. And at the end of it, he can have his entire empire ripped down because of homophobia, or...
The past catching up.
It's interesting, too. The question for everybody here, you basically have a show where two of the leads really, in their way, are not heroic.
Because it's real. These characters are real. This is real life. Set in a very glamorous world, but yet completely trying to be true to that world. And so there's not black hats and white hats. Everyone has a gray hat. And it's exciting and it's compelling to be following these people that don't represent viewpoints that you normally see represented on television.
But we know exist from the masses, and that's what's so exciting for me about telling this story. To have these two brilliant actors tell a story that Lucius is someone that I know. Lucius is a little bit of my dad. Lucius is a lot of bit of my dad. Lucius is a little bit of every African-American celebrity that I've encountered.
But what's really cool about it, what they did early on, is they wrote a script that also explains why their characters have such polarizing points of view about things. So it doesn't just exist in the frame. They find ways to feather in through flashbacks what would make him be that extreme. And that kind of was done so elegantly, but kind of really blows your mind.
As you know, it's the television convention that I come out of. It's much more like filmmaking. It's not constrained. It's really thrilling to do it on network television. And I can't imagine any other way of doing it on this show. I mean, Lee set the tone because it's how he works with actors and it's how he works on script. And he made it very clear to me that he likes to let it be free, that he's open to improvisation. And these actors know their characters, they own them, and they own them at least as much as, if not more than, the writers who are writing for them, and it's a great collaboration. And the best stuff happens when we let that process flow. And as a writer, I just have to own that some of the best lines in the show are created by them and their colleagues.
I always say that, you know, if my name's on the script, I don't care who came up with the line as long as it's good.
Smart.
Because I'm going to get the credit for it anyways.
This is my company, Lucius. I started this. You need to stop playing with me.
I promise you, anything you want, you can get.
$5 million a year. And I want to be head of A&R.
The board will never approve $5 million.
You talk to your board.
I get you close to 3.
Figure it out. You the boss.
I can't do A&R.
Why?
I have some.
Coming up next on Inside Empire.
Lee insisted on Timberland, but we never thought he'd do a TV series, and he's just been, like, amazing for us.
Your brothers are showing off again.
That's what they do, babe.
Yo, when I was 5 years old, I realized it was a road at the end. Pretty girls, cars, and pink girls, gold and platinum plaques.
Surprised Hakeem is performing now. He likes to save it for when Dad's around.
I did it clean as a whistle, stayed away from dirt. I told you I'ma get it. Everybody, they talking, I dreamt about how I'm living. Reality was written, I put effort in my vision. That's why I hustle so hard to be the best that ever did it. Oh!
I guess what I'm thinking, too, is that the music is so much a part of this that it must be really tough to work out where those literal beats go in the show, where the music is placed.
No,
is it?
Yeah, it's easy.
It's not easy to produce it. It's easy to figure out where they go, but the production of it is a monster. Fabulous, but challenging.
Because see, part of the thing is, too, is that the idea of having a musical piece in the show that doesn't stop the show. So I think to integrate that into it, but make it feel sort of consonant with the intensity of the show is really hard to do, to modulate, if you will.
Yeah, well, that's one of the great things about the concept of the show is that it's a show about the music business. So you can very organically put musical numbers into it that feels like it's just an extension of the story and the character's journey, and that it's not stopping the story and that you're having to start over right after. So it was one of the cool things about doing a show about a hip-hop empire.
And you want to add icing on the cake, you throw the music
of Timberland
in here.
Wow.
3-4 songs per episode.
How'd you get him?
I just reached out to him and called him cold. He came over, we sat. I told him the story, and he said, okay, let me give you, he came back 48 hours later with some music, and he said, what do you think? And I said, I think this is our show. It was great. He understood the world. He understood the truth, and like these two.
But I think one of the things you really liked about this material is so much of the stuff you've done, you talked about power struggles, is about people trying to hold on to their true selves, you know, and not lose that part of themselves. And that must be what you really liked about this piece of material.
Yeah, I mean, what I like about, I mean, ultimately, I just think it's incredibly fun to watch. What's great about it is you get to live in the history of these characters, which is kind of gangster. But then you're elevated out of that into a glamorous world. But living in a glamorous world and understanding what motivates them and what they're capable of from kind of the street level, I find that stuff really fun and interesting to watch, as I think audiences will. And Lee was unbelievably strict about this. I mean, it just said authenticity, authenticity, and he takes that authenticity beyond the words with Danny, and he insisted on Timberland, which we all know him, but we never thought he'd do a TV series, and he's just been, like, amazing for us.
And what's great, too, Taraji and I, neither one of us have been in a position to really touch hip-hop performances since we did Hustle and Flow. I didn't do any rap from after I did Hustle and Flow.
Speak for yourself. I'm on Mary J. albums.
Oh, I'm so
rapping
sorry.
on one of her albums. Yes, thank you. Continue. Yes.
But for me...
I love watching this so much. This is so great.
He's jealous. He wants Cookie.
Given the opportunity for me to do some music, to work in conjunction with Timberland, to have Jussie Smollett, who plays Jamal, bring some of his original songs in. And so you've got Yaz, you know, this incredible young rapper who's got so much style and so much bravado.
Because it's a natural actor, too.
Yeah, so you pull all these people together, and we're constantly on set working out our stuff. And when we leave set, we go home, and we're calling each other on the phone, writing new parts of new songs. It's an artist's dream.
Yeah.
An artist's dream.
And virtually everyone in the cast is a musician. I mean, they all are musical, and whether they're playing musicians or not, it comes through. It's another version of the ensemble.
But what music does to it, too, though, is like the stuff with Jamal, even, we get to see another side of him, because that classic musical thing where you get to express a part of yourself that you don't talk about through a song. And his need to impress his father comes across one of those songs. I mean, that's a really sort of beautiful moment in the show.
It's such a powerful storytelling tool, and as I understand it, Danny and Lee sold the show with that as part of the premise, that we use the music in a very stealthy way to advance story and to reveal character in a more powerful way than you could without music.
I guess it's all in my bloodline. If you keep writing me for my apology, you'll be waiting for a long time. I'm sorry, I ain't sorry for nothing to say. On the Bible, I ain't sorry for nothing to say.
Coming up next on Inside Empire.
The cash outlay glamour of hip-hop is kind of a cool thing to see on the show, isn't it?
Kabam!
We've reached this historic moment. No other music company has ever
Don't forget to
accomplished
thank me, baby. Don't forget to thank your Cookie on this historic occasion.
Good
Hello,
to see you, Cookie.
Andre. Now, let's talk business, shall we? Hey, sister girl.
You guys excuse us for a moment,
Yes,
please.
excuse us for a moment, please.
Can I talk
Lucius,
to you,
don't touch
please?
me like that. Have some cupcakes on us. We'll be right back.
Let's talk a little bit about the sparkle of the show, because the cash outlay glamour of hip-hop is kind of a cool thing to see on the show, isn't it?
Kabam! That's what I wanted. Right, Danny?
Yeah, absolutely.
We wanted furs, we wanted diamonds, we wanted Vuitton, we wanted Gucci, we wanted Fiorucci, we wanted it all.
He's the greatest dancer, is that what you're doing here now?
That's an important element of hip-hop, though. You know, a lot of the wives or the artists, they get the stuff straight off the runway before it even hits stores. So before you can even attempt to tell a story about the music world, you have to tackle the fashion.
Well, I don't want to sound so heavy because the show is so much fun because...
It is fun.
It's a lot of fun. Just that glamour makes it fun, and the idea of this kind of money
Cookie's furs make it fun.
It's a really juicy soap, ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, it's old school melodrama, but with money, and what money does to people, how it changes everybody.
I think it's exciting. It's an exciting time for television, and I'm really proud to be a part
And we're
of it.
presenting a world in which a lot of musical guest stars will appear, sometimes as themselves, sometimes playing characters, because they would be in this world, because Cookie and Lucius know these people, and they would be on Empire or performing with our artists. So we get to open up the world of the show in that way, and you never know who you'll see on this show.
Every week, we're going to have this family soap opera in which we have the family tearing itself apart for this empire, and we're gonna have the music, we're gonna have the glamour, we're gonna have the drama, and we're gonna have Cookie making us laugh all the time, and Lucius Lyon doing everything he can to keep his empire in balance and to keep his family in balance, even when they're all tearing each other apart.
This show is about money.
Human experience. It's about human experience and what money will do to people, humans, period.
I also think that we're reflecting in a very glamorous environment the truth of where hip hop is right now. It was once literally only the inner city and the voice of the inner city. It's now.
It was once like guys was rapping over records in basements.
Hip hop is in. Goes to the White House, sleeps at the White House. Hip hop is in the biggest corporation.
The president quotes hip hop with this.
Exactly. Hip hop's at the Apple Corporation. Hip hop is the creative director of some of the greatest fashion designers in the world, including Adidas. Hip hop owns cable networks. So hip hop is in this for real. And I think we're just reflecting that in the most dramatic and exciting and sexy way.
Because it's the coolest new show on television.
Yeah!
The game changer, baby.
Game changer.
Welcome
And that's why you always end with a writer. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
To the Empire.